Hey everyone, and thank you for your support on the last couple of videos. I got a great question from a dear friend of mine, Victoria Davis, who asked, what is the difference in a oven-baked food and a dehydrated food, assuming that they have comparable ingredients panels? And this is a great question, and a perfect example in this question would be Stella and Chewy's. Stella and Chewy's has a dehydrated food, and they have an oven bake kibble. And I wanted to expand this question a bit and include not only dehydrated foods, and oven baked foods, but also freeze dried foods. So to quickly rank them in terms of best to worst, one being the best, I would say that freeze dried is, of course, number one. Number two would be dehydrated, and number three would be the oven baked kibble. First, the difference between freeze dried and dehydrated. Freeze dried is foods that they have the water in them, they have the whole ingredient in them. It would essentially be a raw product at a time, and then the company or the production facility then keeps all that food in a room. They lower the temperature below freezing, and then after they lower it below freezing, they then raise the temperature back to room level, and then that draws the moisture out. It takes about 98 to 99% of the moisture out. It reduces the weight of the freeze-dried food, and it makes it easy for taking it on the go and feeding on trips, things like that. So, for example, when I worked in retail and worked in pet nutrition, people would ask me, well, what's the benefit of freeze-dried food? Well, if you feed raw like I do, and you're going on a trip to, let's say, New York, and you have a Labradoodle or a Shih Tzu or something like that, a dog of similar to that, and you would want to feed freeze-dried because it's still raw. It's very gentle. It protects the enzyme because it's not being cooked. It's just sitting there, and it's an easy, convenient way of feeding raw. It is not practical to feed that because it's very expensive. Probably maybe a 1 day supply of food is about 40 or 50 bucks. So if you're going to feed freeze dried, you want to do it when it's quick and convenient. If you're a busy dog mom or a busy dog dad, and you've sometimes you found yourself that you can't feed raw in the mornings, and you want to feed a freeze-dried patty or something like that, then by all means you can do that. It's just not practical and economical to do it every single day. Segueing to dehydrated food is going to be my number two. And that's because it's a little bit more invasive, and the enzyme and nutritional value of the food is not protected as much. They actually cook the food similar to a pot roast. They actually cook the food at about 100 degrees, and they just whip a lot of hot air around the food, and that cooks, for lack of a better term, the water out. So you lose some of the nutritional integrity of the food at that point, but it's still, by all means, a phenomenal product. And the key difference between a dehydrated food and a oven-baked kibble is that essentially that one is a kibble and one is not. One has carbs in it. Now, sometimes dehydrated foods have carbs in them if you look at the ingredient panel, like broccoli and celery and things like that. But for all intents and purposes, dehydrated foods are not going to have peas, lentils, sweet potatoes, things like that. That kibbles, when they are being brought together, they need those carbs not only for nutritional benefits for a dog or cat, but they need them to keep the kibble actually together. So you have a shelf-stable product. So that's the main difference between an oven-baked kibble and dehydrated product. I would say that freeze-dried is always your number one, and that will be distinguished on the label. You'll see a dehydrated product or a freeze-dried product, and and they will be labeled for you to avoid any confusion. But it is a very nuanced kind of pecking order, and it can be very daunting to figure out what exactly the difference is and get some good information on it. And I found a great article by a company called Grandma Lucy, who sells they make dog treats, and they're a phenomenal product and a phenomenal company. And actually, we'll link the link and the website in the description below. And that was actually my resource for differentiating when I was learning about raw and freeze dried and dehydrated foods and kibbles. I used their website a lot. It was very informative. And so I'll link that below. And I have another review coming out today. It's going to be a blind review. A pet boutique in Greensboro here gave me some kibbles to check out, and so I will check them out. They're over there in the corner. I don't know this particular brand. Looks like an interesting formula, so I'm just going to pick it up and blind review it for you guys, and you'll see my reaction to that, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.